Hello everyone. Today, I'll continue sharing with you the story of the single mother Diệu Hân. I hope you'll enjoy watching this video. After Ton was taken away by the police, Han could hardly sleep all night. The image of Ton being handcuffed and led away, his face a mix of shock and anger, echoed in her mind, etched deeply into her heart. She understood clearly. Backhand index pointing right. If no witness came forward to prove that Ton acted in self-defense, he would be forced to bear a false charge, and Thai's powerful family would make sure to crush him completely. The next morning, while the village was still shrouded in mist, Han carried a small bag and walked alone down the dirt road, starting her journey to knock on every door she could. Did you notice anything strange yesterday evening? Did anyone pass by when Ton and Thai had their fight? She asked, clinging to a fragile hope, but most people simply shook their heads. The spot where the fight happened was near a bamboo forest, remote and quiet with few passers-by. At that hour, most villagers were either out in the fields or at home preparing dinner. An elderly woman looked at Han sympathetically and sighed. That place has always been deserted, child. Maybe someone went to collect firewood late, but that's rare. For several days, Han tirelessly searched everywhere, from the small village market, roadside tea stalls, to the last bus stop at the alley's end, anywhere someone might have witnessed the scene. But each time she returned home, her legs grew more exhausted, and her heart sank a little deeper. At night, the little house felt unusually empty. Tom fell asleep after another long day waiting for Uncle Ton to come home. Han sat silently by the flickering oil lamp, hands clasped tightly, as troubling questions echoed in her head. What should I do? If no one steps forward, what will happen to Ton? She knew too well, Thai's family was influential. They were wealthy and well-connected. If things remained murky, just a few false statements could turn an innocent man into a criminal. Just when everything seemed hopeless, one evening on her way home, Han overheard two farmers chatting at the alley entrance. They mentioned seeing a figure walking past the bamboo forest that day, though they weren't sure who it was. Her heart started racing. She quickly approached them, desperate to grasp any clue she could find. If that person really exists, and agrees to testify, everything could change. Han whispered to herself. That night, after days of nearly hopeless searching, she finally caught a glimmer of hope. A farmer living near the forest said, "That evening around dusk I saw a woman wearing a conical hat, carrying firewood, walking past that path. Thin figure, walking fast. Might have been old Mrs. Sao from the upper hamlet." Han's heart pounded. Mrs. Sao lived alone in a small house by the dike and often went to the forest for firewood. If she had indeed witnessed the fight between Ton and Thai, she could be the key witness to clear Tana's name. The next morning, Han brought some humble gifts, fresh vegetables and a few eggs, to Mrs. Sao's house. After a heartfelt conversation, the old woman slowly said, "I did see that Thai boy attacked first, and that young man only defended himself. But this is a complicated matter, child. His family's rich and powerful. I'm scared." Worry clouded Mrs. Sao's eyes. Han gently held her hand, pleading, "Please, Grandma Sao, help us. If you don't testify, Ton will be wrongly imprisoned. You're our last hope." Mrs. Sao fell silent, gazing into the distance. Finally, she nodded softly. "Let me think about it. Come back tomorrow." But that very night, something unexpected happened. While Han was putting Tom to sleep, a neighbor rushed over in panic. "Hun!" A few strange men came to Mrs. Sao's house. They spoke harshly. She got scared and shut herself inside. Han froze. A chilling realization hit her. Thai's family must have found out about the witness and wanted to silence her. The next morning, when Han visited Mrs. Sao, the woman was completely changed. Her gentle face had turned pale, her eyes filled with fear. She avoided Han's gaze and stammered, "Forget it, child. I'm old, I can't get involved. I didn't really see anything clearly that day." Han felt as if the ground had vanished beneath her feet. Just the night before, Mrs. Sao had confirmed what she saw. Now overnight everything had changed. She knew this was the result of Thai's family's intimidation. A neighbor whispered as Han left, "Someone from Thai's family came last night. They said if Mrs. Sao testifies, she'll regret it. Everyone here knows that family's got money and connections." Back at home, Han sat silently on the porch for a long time. The evening wind was cool. The setting sun cast long rays across the worn bamboo roof. Inside her, fear and anger swirled together. If I give up now, Tan will carry this injustice forever. But if I keep going, I'll be standing against a powerful force. Her eyes gradually hardened with determination. She clenched her fists. No, I can't let them silence the truth like this. Ever since Mrs. Cao suddenly refused to testify, strange things began happening around Han's life. At night, just after she put little Tom to bed, she started hearing rustling noises in the yard, like someone was deliberately pacing back and forth. When Han stepped outside to check, she only caught a glimpse of a shadowy figure darting down the dark alley. The next morning, a crumpled piece of paper appeared at her gate. On it, a few threatening lines were scrawled. Mind your own business. Don't meddle in matters of adults. Han's hands trembled as she read the message. She glanced around. The dirt road was as deserted as usual, yet it suddenly felt eerily cold. There was no doubt. This was a warning from Tai's family. They had begun targeting her directly. In the days that followed, malicious rumors started spreading through the village market. People whispered that Han was close to Tan to get a share of his money, that she was making up stories to save her lover, and some even cruelly claimed she was trying to profit off the case. The market women eyed her with suspicion. Whenever she approached, the gossip buzzed like a swarm of bees. Such a pity. A single mother doing something so reckless. The Tai family is powerful. She's only bringing trouble on herself. Han tried to stay calm, but each rumor cut like a knife. She knew exactly who was behind them, Tai's family. They didn't just want to scare her. They wanted to isolate her completely, making sure no one would dare support her. One night, after returning from the police station where she had submitted more testimony for Tana's case, Han found her front door had been pried open. The house was ransacked. Nothing valuable was taken, but it was obvious someone had searched through her belongings deliberately. On the dining table, a rusty knife was stabbed deep into the wood. Beneath it was a short note. Stop, unless you want someone to disappear. A chill ran through her entire body. She hugged Tom tightly, tears streaming down, not from fear for herself, but from overwhelming worry for her little boy. It was clear now. They were willing to do anything to silence her. That night, Han sat alone on the porch. The moon was dim, the wind cold, and the oil lamp flickered weakly. Her mind spun between two painful options. Give up, protect Tom and herself, and watch Tan suffer injustice. Keep fighting. Even though Tai's family was watching and threatening her every hour. A sudden gust rattled the thatched roof. Han looked up at the night sky. Her gaze hardened, a quiet flame igniting within her. If I show fear, they'll only push further. Tan doesn't deserve this. I can't back down. She made up her mind not to stay silent any longer. The next morning, she began carefully documenting everything that had happened, the threats, the warning notes, and the break-in. She quietly visited an old friend who worked at the commune committee to ask for advice. If you want to confront them, you'll need evidence and allies, the friend advised. Inside Han, fear mingled with growing determination. Tai's family had played dirty, but she would not let them win so easily. That evening, after a long and exhausting day of chasing leads and failing to find any witnesses, Han returned home drained. Tom was already asleep. Only the sound of crickets and the wavering oil lamp accompanied her in the small house. As she folded laundry, suddenly, backhand index pointing right, thump thump. Footsteps echoed from outside the gate. Her heart skipped a beat. At this hour, the village was usually deserted. The wooden door creaked open slowly. Standing in the yard was Tai, neatly dressed, eyes half mocking, half prying. He pushed the gate open as if it were his own house. Well, Han, it's been a while since we talked alone, hasn't it? He smirked, the kind of smile that made her skin crawl. Han frowned, keeping her distance. What are you doing here? It's late. Please leave. Tai ignored her. Instead, he stepped closer to the porch, hands in his pockets, speaking in a lazy, syrupy voice. I came to help you. You must be tired, right? Tana's locked up with no release date, and you alone with a child. What future do you think awaits you? Han clenched her fists, trying to remain composed. But Tai kept advancing. He lowered his voice, whispering with venomous intent. If you listen to me, I can ask my father to get Ton released early. My family has influence, one word from us, and the police will obey. But you need to be smart. Stop going against us. His eyes roamed over her, shameless and possessive. Leave that penniless guy. Be with me, and you'll never suffer again. A beautiful woman like you deserves someone like me. Hearing this, rage surged through Han's veins. She stood up straight, eyes blazing. Shut up. What kind of person do you think I am, to trade my dignity like that? Ton was arrested because of your trap. Don't think you can use your filthy tricks to threaten me. Tai burst into loud laughter, echoing eerily through the night. Do you really think you have a choice? In this village, no one dares defy my family and live peacefully. I like you. That's an opportunity, not a threat. Suddenly, he stepped forward and reached out to touch her shoulder. Backhand index pointing right smack. Han slapped his hand away sharply, her eyes burning. Get out of my house. One more step and I'll scream for the entire village to hear. Tai froze for a second, clearly not expecting such fierce resistance. Then he sneered, backing toward the gate, eyes narrowing coldly. Fine, but don't say I didn't warn you. You'll learn soon enough what happens to those who defy me. He turned and left, leaving the yard in heavy, suffocating silence. When Tai's shadow finally disappeared, her knees buckled. She sank onto the porch steps, tears streaming down, not from weakness but from fury and dread. She knew exactly what kind of man Tai was. That bastard. He wants to destroy my life. But in the stillness of the night, she clenched her fists tightly. Her eyes grew resolute. Even if storms awaited her, she could not betray Ton, nor could she bow down to a vile man like Tai. All throughout the following day, Han couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching her. Every time she went to the market, walked along the dirt road, or stopped by the local post office, she could sense a cold, distant gaze tracking her from somewhere nearby. At first, she dismissed it as her nerves playing tricks after the terrifying night before. But when she suddenly turned around at a bend near the edge of the bamboo forest, she caught sight of a man's silhouette slipping quickly behind the bamboo grove, then disappearing completely. Backhand index pointing right, there was no doubt, it was Tai. He was perched on a black motorcycle with no license plate, a baseball cap pulled low over his eyes, silently tailing her like a predator stalking its prey. Keep walking, sweetheart. Tonight, I'll show you what happens when you dare to defy me. Tai muttered under his breath, a wicked glint flashing in his eyes. That night, when the village sank into silence, Tai gathered two of his thugs in a dark corner near Han's house. His voice dropped into a low, commanding tone. Two, you stay at the gate. If anyone comes, alert me right away. Fat, cut the power if you see anything suspicious. I'll go inside and have a little talk with dear Han. The two henchmen snickered. Tai pulled his black jacket tight around him, eyes gleaming with a mixture of lust and calculation, and then walked toward the small house. Unaware, inside, Han and little Tom had no idea of the danger that was closing in. Near midnight, Tai quietly pushed open the gate. His henchman in the yard gave a quick nod. All clear, no one around. He crept forward silently, his steps careful on the dry dirt. Moonlight spilled across the bamboo walls, casting his shadow long and beast-like. In the kitchen, Han was tidying up when she suddenly heard a faint click from the back door. She froze, heart pounding. Backhand index pointing right, another sound, louder this time. Who's there? She shouted, voice tinged with fear and alertness. No reply. Only the dense, suffocating darkness answered back. She quickly turned off the light, hugged Tom close, and strained to listen, every nerve on edge. The back door creaked open. Tai stepped inside, moonlight slipping through the gaps in the bamboo wall, illuminating his shameless half-smile. Han! He drew out her name slowly, stalking toward her. Do you remember what I told you last night? Han backed away, eyes darting for something to defend herself with. Get out of my house. I'll call for help. Tai scoffed, confidence dripping from every word. Go ahead, my men are outside. Who's going to hear you? He stepped closer, voice dropping into a menacing threat. I'm serious, if you behave, things will be easy. If not, I can't promise anything. Outside, his henchmen stood guard like an invisible trap, Inside, Tai advanced slowly, his voice now a sickly sweet mixture of fake tenderness and ownership that made Han's skin crawl. Why fight it? Tana's locked up. Who's going to protect you now? His eyes roamed over her like she was already cornered prey. The small house grew heavy with darkness and dread. A lone woman facing a man with power, cunning, and dark desires. Tai inched closer, his whispering voice both cajoling and threatening. Be good, sweetheart. Don't make this harder. No one's coming to save you. Han backed up against the bamboo wall, hands trembling as she gripped a bamboo stick tightly, her whole body tensed like a drawn bow. Stay away from me, she screamed, fear and fury mixing in her voice. She swung the stick forward, but Tai was quick. He caught it, shoved it aside, sending it clattering across the floor. Her strength was no match for his. Alone and terrified, her resistance faltered after a few desperate struggles. Tai let out a low, cruel laugh that sliced through the night. He lunged forward, overpowering her with brute force. Han thrashed and screamed, "Let me go! Help!" But outside, his henchman whistled sharply, a warning signal, ensuring no one would come. The house was isolated. Her cries were swallowed by the night. Images flashed through Han's mind. Little Tom's innocent face, Tana's trusting eyes, the quiet, difficult life she'd fought so hard to protect. And then the crushing sense of helplessness tightened around her like a vice. I can't break here. I can't, she thought, tears streaming down. Inside that small, dark house, the sounds of heavy breathing, struggling, and the rustling wind mixed into a suffocating tableau. Han's strength ebbed with every second, while Tai grew more violent and dangerous. The tension reached a breaking point. One wrong moment and everything would shatter completely. The unbalanced struggle ended in a suffocating silence. Han collapsed onto the dirt floor, hair tangled, eyes vacant, as if she had just lived through a nightmare. Her whole body trembled, heart splintered into pieces. In front of her, Tai adjusted his clothes, his face twisted in grotesque satisfaction. He looked down at her with a victor's sneer, equal parts contempt and pleasure, and let out a chilling laugh. See? Things are much easier when you behave, sweetheart. He whispered sweetly, like poison dripping into her ears. Don't worry. I'll make a call. Tan will be out soon. Then he stood up casually as if nothing had happened and walked toward the door. Outside, his thugs were still waiting, snickering like they had just watched some twisted show. The door closed. Only Han remained alone in the cold house. She wrapped her arms around herself, sobbing uncontrollably. The humiliation, rage, and unbearable pain crushed her chest until she could barely breathe. Why, how can he be so cruel? She whispered in despair. Everything had crumbled in a single night. The image of Tan in detention, Tom's innocent eyes, the fragile life she'd built, all now overshadowed by a wound too deep for words. After a long while, Han slowly lifted her head. Her face was streaked with tears, but her eyes changed, from empty to cold to razor-sharp. He thinks this will break me? No. I won't let him get away with this. Deep within her shattered heart, a small flame of defiance began to burn. She knew life would never be the same from this moment on. But she also understood one thing clearly. If she stayed silent, he would destroy everything. The next afternoon, the gates of the police station swung open. Tan stepped out quickly, his face noticeably thinner after just a few days in detention that had felt like an eternity. He hadn't even taken a full breath of relief when a single name echoed in his mind: Han. I wonder how she's doing. I have to see her right away. Without wasting a second, he ran down the familiar dirt road, dust swirling in his wake. A strange feeling gnawed at his chest, a mix of unease and urgency, as if something was terribly wrong waiting ahead. When he arrived, Tan noticed the gate to Han's house was slightly ajar. The yard was silent, no sound of little Tom playing as usual, no comforting hum of Han's voice coming from the kitchen. The air was thick and heavy, making his heartbeat quicken. He called softly, Han, it's me, Tan. No answer. He stepped inside, and the sight before him froze him in place. In the corner of the house, Han was sitting curled up, her arms wrapped tightly around her knees, as if trying to make herself as small and invisible as possible. Her tangled hair covered part of her face, but it couldn't hide her swollen, red-rimmed eyes. Unmistakable evidence of a night spent crying until no tears were left. Ton was stunned. He slowly approached, his voice trembling with worry. Han, what happened? What's wrong? Talk to me, please. She remained silent. No words, no glance. Only a tighter grip on her knees and faint, shaky breaths in the quiet house. Han, please look at me. Ton knelt down in front of her, his voice breaking. The more he looked at her, the more his heart twisted painfully. He could feel it. Something terrible had happened while he was locked away. Her eyes were no longer the same. The light in them had faded, replaced by a deep, unspeakable pain. Who did this to you? Tell me. I'm begging you. His voice rose, a mix of shock and fury, his fists clenched tight. But the only reply was silence, a silence so heavy it felt suffocating. The late afternoon light cast long shadows on the bamboo walls, enveloping the small house in a quiet, heartbreaking stillness. Ton sat beside her, his mind spinning, frustration and helplessness building up inside. He looked closely at her exhausted, fragile face. Even without words, he could tell, from her withdrawn posture, from the emptiness in her eyes, that something horrible had happened. His throat tightened, voice hoarse with worry. Han, tell me, was it Tai? Did that bastard do something to you? Han trembled slightly at the mention of the name, her eyes lowering, hands unconsciously gripping the hem of her shirt. That small reaction was all it took for rage to surge through Ton. His jaw clenched, fists whitening. It was him. I'm not letting this go. I'll go to his house. I'll make him pay. Ton shot up, fury blazing after days of pent-up humiliation behind bars. But just as he turned to storm out, Han reached out and grabbed his hand. Her grip wasn't strong, but the trembling in it stopped him instantly. She shook her head, her voice small and raspy. Don't. I don't want anything. I'm so tired. I just want to rest. Her words cut through him like a knife. He looked at her, her empty gaze, her worn-out face as fragile as a fallen leaf. His anger burned hot, but his care for her slowly softened the flames. He gently sat back down beside her, his voice tender. All right. I'm not going anywhere. I'll stay here with you. Seeing her lying silently in the corner, Ton carefully pulled a thin blanket over her. Then he quietly tidied up the house a bit and started a small fire to cook a pot of plain rice porridge. The steam rose softly, casting a warm golden glow across the porch, a rare touch of comfort in the gloomy afternoon. While stirring the porridge, Ton kept glancing toward Han. She still sat there, curled up like a battered leaf, but at least his presence seemed to bring her a little calm. From now on, you're not alone anymore, Han. He whispered to himself, determination shining in his eyes. When the porridge was ready, Ton ladled it into a bowl, let it cool, and brought it to her. He sat down quietly beside her, not forcing her, just gently saying, Eat a little, okay? You need your strength. I'm here now. Han slowly lifted her eyes to look at him. They were still swollen and red, but for a fleeting moment, a faint warmth flickered there, something she hadn't felt in a long time. She didn't speak, just gave a small nod. In the tiny house, the afternoon faded slowly. No fancy words, no grand promises, just Tana's quiet, genuine presence, like a steady shoulder for Han's weary heart to lean on.
Hello mọi người, rất vui được gặp lại mọi người trong video của mình. Chúc mọi người có một ngày mới vui vẻ và hạnh phúc. Hy vọng rằng những video của mình sẽ mang đến niềm vui cho mọi người mỗi khi xem. Thì hiện tại kênh của mình đang được phát hành những video vào khung giờ 7 giờ tối tại giờ Việt Nam. Thì rất mong được một sự ủng hộ của mọi người. Và mọi người nhớ để lại cho mình một bình luận ở dưới phần bình luận để mình cải thiện những video sau và và khắc phục những video hay hơn, có nhiều tình tiết mới hơn để cho mọi người cùng xem và nghe câu chuyện về người mẹ đơn thân Diệu Hân. Mình rất hy vọng là mọi người có thể chia sẻ kênh của mình để cho bạn bè cùng biết và cùng được nghe những câu chuyện mà mình kể cho mọi người nghe. Và hy vọng là mình sẽ được đồng hành cùng mọi người trong thời gian sắp tới. Cảm ơn mọi người đã xem hết video của mình nha. Xin chào và hẹn gặp lại mọi người.